think it's better. That's okay.
Okay, are we done? Once we clear the frame, I'm gonna start.
Guys, please.
I had to change because it's Riya Kapoor.
I love it.
Do you?
I love it.
When is it?
See, I feel definitely as a girl you're stuck, you know. You are constantly walking this balance. You know, is this attractive enough? Is that too sexy? Is it not sexy enough? Should I become, should I be a total good girl? Oh, but does that make me boring? Does it, you know, you're constantly, you don't know what is right. And no matter what you do, there's someone or the other telling you that what you're doing is wrong, or what you're doing is not effective enough, or attractive enough, or any of these different things. So I think that with making these kinds of movies, I want to make sure that I open up the female thought process to not just women, but also men.
Absolutely.
So that they can get an insight into how girls actually think, what makes us tick, what we like, what we don't like. Koi to puchta nahi, to hum batayenge. You know what I mean? And if you really want to know what will make the woman in your life happy, what makes her sad, what affects her, what doesn't affect her. Hopefully my movies will give you a window into that narrative. And if you're a girl and you feel like nobody understands you, watch the films, watch, you know, whatever films that I've made till now, and hopefully you leave the theatre feeling a little less alone.
What about you, Bhoomi?
You know, just adding on to what Riya said, firstly, hello everyone. Thank you for coming for our session. Thank you for coming for our session. You know, just adding to what Riya said, and also the answers actually in your question. When boys make comedies, you know, I've never seen a single person go question, Acha, what's their profession in the film? Why that to unhone ye to nahi bola? You know, they can be doing the exact things that we are doing, and thank you for coming, but there's so much shame that's put onto a narrative that we are leading. Why? Because women can't do these things. Women, we don't have choices, right? And what does thank you for coming stand for? Thank you for coming speaks against all the shame that women are constantly endured with, right? If you want to have a child, you don't want to have a child, you want to have a career, you want to get married, not get married, when do you want to get married? It's just non-stop, and no decision is the right decision. You can never ever adhere to what the society wants from you, because aap pe shame dala hi jayega. The moment you become a young adult, you're slut shamed. When you grow a little, if supposing you are a successful person, that success also most times is not credited to you, because oh, there must be somebody helping her through this. So there's nothing that is completely yours. Now, if I speak only of our films, you know, and this was one thing that was kind of troubling me, because there were so many questions that people asked, right? Oh, this is not feminism just because this girl is like drinking, or, you know, she's going out. No, it is, because the umbrella of feminism is very, very large. You can't dismiss my problems and my choices because you don't understand them. That's exactly the narrative that men have spun over generations. They have never understood our problems. They have never understood our choices. And yet again, when we've tried to kind of break a stereotype, and when we've tried to kind of make a comment, they're like, oh, this is not a real problem. You can't decide if my problems are real or no, because you don't go through them. You know, so this is the exact narrative that we have to change. And why should boys have all the why should boys have all the fun? You know, I'm sick and tired of it. Do we ever, okay, a film like Hangover, which I love. तब तो किसी ने नहीं बोला क्या कर रहे हैं ये फिल्म में, मजाक मस्ती कर रहे हैं, you know, road trip पे गए हुए हैं. No, they are doing, but you are convinced of this narrative because there are men leading it. और दिल चाहता है जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा. Again, films I love. You know, speaking of, those films are also layered. So is ours. But there's just this preconceived notion that you just see when you watch the trailer, and a lot of it, look, again, I've said this time and again, patriarchy is not a gender specific thing. Patriarchy is a mindset. It's a choice of how you want to lead your life. और वो औरतों से भी हो सकती है, वो मर्दों से भी हो सकती है. ये फिल्म exactly वही smash करती है.
You know, recently I just spoke to Ratna ma'am, Ratna Pathak Shah, and she said that patriarchy has done more harm to men than women.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And being a man, you know, seeing this perspective from a man's lens was so important because, there needed to be some kind of representation. Yeah. And of course, Ria, when you make films, and there are so many big actors who would otherwise have so many other social causes and they stand up for things, but the representation in films like this, and I'm not just speaking about your films, in any film where the actress plays the female protagonist or the central protagonist is like few and far in between. Let's be honest. There's been only one Dear Zindagi and one Mission Mangal and one Secret Superstar, and I can't remember anything else. So having a male lens to the entire perspective, what was your first reaction when the story came to you, and how do you take the applause? There's applause on one side and there's not criticism. Unfortunately, criticism hota to samajh mein aata. There's shaming on the other side. You know.
So I wouldn't know what it is like with any other lens because I've never been a woman.
That's true.
But I think as a storyteller, it's important that you empathize with your characters, with whoever's in your story. You have to see it from, if you're doing a crime drama, then you have to do it from the point of view of the cop and the criminal, and both are right from where they come from, you know. And I think if you reach that state where ki pata chal jata hai ki nahi, from his perspective ki ye bhi sahi hai, and from his perspective even this person is right, but there is something else. There is this invisible evil that is making it unequal, this battle. And I think that's what I felt when I started to read the story, talk to the writers, talk with Ria, that we would always discuss, we would always argue. I mean, we have different points of view, and we would say, no, you don't get it. It's harder for a guy. It's easier for a guy. It's harder for a woman. And I would give her examples where it is harder for a guy to do certain things. And she would say, no, but a guy gets, this happened to a friend of ours. He's inherited a company or something. You always feel it goes to the guy. No, and I'll give her an example where it went to the girl. So it isn't a battle between the sexes as much as it is a way in which we cover up all these evils that each individual man or woman is made to believe. For example, as a girl, I mean, if you take it down to the core of it, when we would discuss it.
Right at that point, there were people that told me, don't do it. Don't do it. You will be shamed. ऐसी पिक्चर क्यों करनी है? किसको पड़ी है फीमेल डिज़ायर, फीमेल ऑर्गेज़म कि औरतें ये चाहती, औरतें वो चाहती, किसी को नहीं पड़ी है. That's the reason I did the film. Because I found representation in the movie. I have done films and I have played like diverse characters in the past where the women that I have played have stood for something strong. They have broken a stereotype. Absolutely, I was getting to that, right? I have done a love stories in the past, and that film was really, really applauded for because it came on a different medium. When it takes a lot of balls and guts to release a film like Thank You for Coming in theatres, because you know that there will be a section that's suddenly gonna go crazy because the film makes them so uncomfortable. And this is not the first time. Even when I did a Badhai Do, there was a large section that had gone like completely berserk. But that's not going to stop me from making the choices that I make. As Ria said, I am going to do more films that make you uncomfortable because still you are not uncomfortable. We are not going to change. You can't put me to shame. I am done being shamed. I, as a girl who's grown up in the society that I have grown up in, I have been shamed for every choice of mine. And that's why I found representation in this film. As Ria said, what is the film about? The film is about this single girl who has gone through a series of heartbreaks and she feels there's something wrong with her. She is confused because she's like, okay, I've not even had an orgasm, maybe that's the problem. There's a lot of childhood baggage that she carries. She is a mess. I am a mess. We all as individuals are imperfect people. And we need acceptance for that. And that's what the film is about. The film is about the fact that my happiness, nobody else can be responsible for my happiness but myself. And the day all of us realize that as individuals, the way we look at life changes. Suddenly, the burden becomes lesser. That's the reason I've done this film, because I have gone through and I've lived the life that Kanika Kapoor has lived. When I started off my career, I was constantly boxed. Ki, arey, no, she needs to lose weight, she needs to lose weight, she needs to lose weight. Then when I've become this now, also they have a problem. You know, when I wore like, I did certain kind of roles where, you know, people are like, no, she can only do like salwar kameez ya sari. That time also they had a problem. Now when I'm not doing that. So the point is कि society तो आपको हमेशा question करेगी. कहीं ना कहीं आपको अपने अंदर वो हिम्मत ढूंढनी पड़ेगी कि बस हो गया. और ये फिल्म उस हिम्मत को पोर्ट्रे करता है. I've gotten a lot. See, honestly, this film has helped me I have found a lot of strength doing this movie. And also sharing space with like 4 other phenomenal women that have had a similar journey. You know, they have also in their own individual points of their life told the world, we don't give a shit. मुझे जो करना मैं करूँगी. मेरी मर्जी है यार, मेरी life में who the hell are you to dictate my terms? And that's exactly what's happened with the release as well. Who are you to shame me? On what? And you are people that have not even seen the film.
Absolutely.
You've not seen the film and you've made a judgment about, critique the film. Don't critique our intent behind it. Because you don't understand it.
We all know that. Listen, I have also been really, like, the reason why I said it's personal is because I genuinely, I feel that...
लड़कों में नहीं होता क्या? लड़कों को नहीं होता orgasm? तो लड़कियों को होता है तो उसमें इतना shame क्यों attached है?
No, we also had a movie called made on erectile dysfunction.
हाँ, which I have done, which nobody had an issue with. Why? Because Ayushmann had the problem. He was speaking about it. If I did another film with any kind of sexual disorder, there would again be so much shame attached. I've only done that film, no? That time the conversation was so different. Why? Because a boy is leading it. लड़कों को तो होती है यार, लड़कों को हक है. Desire का, want का, you know, यही तो it is so warped the way we think, and this happens on various levels. This is not just like anything today. If I am questioned on so many levels. Ki, oh, you know, she must be with this person because this person is whatever, like maybe she's gotten this much success because कोई तो होगा ना hero या कोई producer जो उसको push कर रहा है क्यों मैं तुमने, and this is not me, this is like generally if you see the narrative of any successful woman today, you're always trying to snatch her success from her. You never credit it to her completely because you'll always feel like no, there's somebody who is sugar daddying her. What's going on? When do we hear such a narrative about men? Never.
That's true. No, it's please. And यहाँ पे भी audience मतलब ऐसे बैठी कि जिंदगी में उनके साथ कुछ नहीं हुआ, मतलब sorry guys, but हमको सब पता है. We might not be in your shoes, but I'm sorry, men, women, everybody here, genuinely we've dealt with a lot of shaming for being authentic to what we are. अगर आप
Women today and men to attach a positive attitude towards sex. See, when it comes to girls, it's always like, don't wear this, don't go out like that, log kya sochenge, ye mat karo, wo mat karo. So when you get into a relationship, whether it's with your boyfriend, your husband or whatever, you don't know what is the right thing to do, or so you're not able to be free, you're not able to enjoy your partner, you're not able to, because you would genuinely have attached so many negative feelings with it by the time you got there, you don't even realize. And in spite of the fact that you have all this baggage, because it seems normal, you don't acknowledge it. So if you then go to have a relationship and you're confused or you feel something's not going right, again you blame yourself, even though you have no knowledge. It's very important for girls and important for their partners as well that we have a very positive relationship with this thing that everyone is going to have in their lives. You're going to have it in your life sooner or later. You're going to have a partner, you're going to have a husband, you're going to have a wife, you're going to have something, you're going to have a relationship, you're going to have sexual relationships. It's very, very, very important for your happiness, for your contentment, your partner's contentment, and just in general, I think for the world, that we don't attach these things, these negative things, guilt, shame, lack of self-esteem, judgment, all of these things to our sexual lives, especially for Indian women. Because I know, as an Indian girl who's very protected from a very conservative Punjabi family, now my dad is a proper liberal girl dad. But because of us two girls, he's also evolved and changed, and he's also absorbed so many different things. I mean, he did a special appearance in this movie for me. That itself is shocking. And, but when we were growing up, we were really protected. We were not allowed to sleep over at people's houses, even girls' houses. We were not allowed really to have boyfriends until a certain age. My dad and mom were strict.
चोरी छुपे भी नहीं किया.
Thoda kiya. But you can't, boys are scared. They're like, so should I meet your dad? I was like, yeah, you should come meet my dad. She's like, you know, I'm meeting Anil Kapoor. So that's a different experience. But I do feel that even as a girl who grew up so protected, when I actually came into being an adult and when I had to actually wanted to fall in love and wanted to have relationships, my entire perspective, I was so confused. And I was in an American college. And I had learned from American culture, but I was an Indian girl. So what everybody around me was doing, I was not doing. I was by myself, because I knew something was telling me that you're not like them, but I had no information. So when I made this film, thank you for coming, I made it with a specific intent that some 17, 18, 19-year-old Indian girl, Delhi, Bombay, Chandigarh, Dehradun, wherever she's from, she watches this film, Bangalore, Kolkata, that she watches this film and she realizes that there's nothing to feel guilty, there's nothing to feel ashamed. What you're going through is very natural. Every girl goes through it, every boy goes through it. Because before you know it, tomorrow your sister will be shamed for just being a girl. Your daughter will be shamed for just being a girl. Your daughter won't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Your sister won't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. What do you think is happening? So we all have to come into the fact that these are our lives, and if we don't talk to each other, if we don't tell these stories, someone else will do it for us, and those people don't know us, they don't know our culture, and they don't know our tradition.
That's true. Now,
it comes from there as well, but I also love like hardcore romances. Like I love Dil To Pagal. I was obsessed with Karishma Kapoor.
I was going to answer the same.
I just wanted to be her and dance like her and best. And I remember from Raja Hindustani there was like this short red dress that had become like a rage that Karishma Kapoor had worn, okay? And I was like maybe 3 or 4 when the film had released, and I fought with my mother that I wanted, and they were like, she's gone completely crazy. Because which normal kid is like, mujhe Karishma Kapoor ki dress chahiye when they are 4. But another film that I completely loved was Julia and Julia, because I'm such a big Meryl Streep fan. I think she's just so phenomenal, but I'm also very, very desi. Omkara. I loved. I wanted to play Langra Tyagi. I wish I swear. I think that's the only thing left. But like my choices have been very, very diverse.
Yeah, I just like comedies here. It make you laugh. It's important, especially if you're saying something explosive, something serious you want to say. This make people laugh, and if Andaz Apna did it, but they didn't really say anything serious. But I felt it was really funny, and so yeah, those.
I'm sorry, but I am obsessed. I was obsessed with Karisma Kapoor till Kareena Kapoor came and she went. But Karisma Kapoor's Nisha from Dil To Pagal hai.
Yeah.
Like she said, but only if I realized at that age that I've manifested the same thing in my life, and then I wouldn't be liking what is happening with me. So I became a real life Nisha. So I only have heart for all the people who lose love. I don't know, कभी प्यार जिसको ना मिले मुझे, मतलब मेरा दिल उसके पास चला जाता है कि यार प्यार नहीं मिला तो मेरी प्यारी बिंदु. Yeah, it is. But I want to ask you specifically a question. When you speak and play characters like this, when you speak about your entire career, you have often taken up characters that are socially very marginalized for different reasons. It just doesn't have to be like their social standing, but socially marginalized characters. But this year, when we saw the award season, there was an Alia Bhatt winning for a Gangubai Kathiawadi, marginalized character. Rajkumar Rao winning for Badhai Do, marginalized character. Bhoomi Pednekar winning for Badhai Do, marginalized character. And for Vad, you know, Sanjay Sir winning for Vad, again a marginalized character. Today, do you feel that the industry on a grander level have started accepting those characters? Because एक time आता था जहाँ पे actors को कहा जाता था कि ऐसे करो ही मत.
Absolutely, I feel more than the industry, it's the force of the audience. You know, because we all are compromised on so many levels. There are very, very few that are not. And these are their stories. Right? So I have been very, very fortunate that I've been able to represent those people. Okay? And that's why I feel those films get the kind of love they do. In fact, even for a Sand Ki Aankh, or even a Dum Laga Ke Haisha, the previous 2 times that I won a Filmfare, apart from Badhai Do, was because those films were loved. And you know, it's insane because even when I've spoken to Rian Karan about this, when Sand Ki Aankh released, you know, again a film that was like led by 2 women, and there was so much conversation, and kaun jaake do old characters ki kahani dekhega, ye dekhega, wo dekhega, but the film constantly got love. You know, it kept playing for weeks. So there was actually a point in December when Pati Patni and Wo had released that in Gaiety Galaxy, this was so wild, I could have never imagined. Gaiety Galaxy matlab jahan pe masses jaate hain, where a Sand Ki Aankh, which was the first film of mine that I released that year, Bala and Pati Patni all had shows. And I could have never imagined because people had written Sand Ki Aankh off. Ki nahi jayega, but look at the audience, right? They kept going for it slowly and steadily, and that led to my first Filmfare Best Actor Award. Or a Badhai Do. I went through a similar journey with Badhai Do as well. It was the first film post-pandemic that came out. You know, obviously people get extremely uncomfortable speaking about the LGBTQIA plus community. They are like, nahi dekhega, same-sex love, kaun jaake dekhega, not interested. The film got so much love, I won my second Filmfare for Best Actor. And I'm telling you, I can see the same thing happening with Thank You for Coming.
Absolutely.
There is this love and it's growing constantly because I can see people going in and coming out and they're like, oh my god, this film, something changes, something shakes within them. I've had so many filmmakers that I have worked with in the past, and I've worked with some really credible ones, and I've not gotten so many calls from within the fraternity. I've done 18 films. This is my 18th film. I've not gotten so many calls. On Thank You for Coming, I have constantly been getting calls every day where people are so surprised. See, because even they have a bias, right? Even they have a set notion ki kya hoga. Chick flick hai, frivolous hogi. But once they go watch the film, they are like, dude, what have you guys made? And this gives me like the confidence when I can't know. Every film's fate is different. And this one is going to be there for posterity.
Absolutely.
Which is a suppressed emotion which has come out in some way. So I think the jad of this rebelliousness in women has got to do a lot with the way, you know, we are brought up. And the bringing up is not only by our parents, our fathers, you know, who are patriarchal, but it's also our mothers.
Absolutely.
So the mothers also are somewhere trying to, you know, train a woman in that manner. Ye nahi karo, wo nahi karo, ye nahi pehno, ya ye karo, wo karo. So I feel that while we are, you know, showing this emotion of a woman, you know, where she's, you know, emoting what she needs to emote as a youngster, we need to somewhere change that mother. Because that mother has to train her sons in a certain way and the girls in a certain way. And the equality has to start from there. So if we can bring that out also in our movies, probably it would change our futures for us. You know? It's just a suggestion for our producers and directors. Thank you so much.
Coming, ma'am, you'll actually see this thread that you're speaking about. Because in the film... Sorry, thank you for your comment. So in the film, the character, the chemistry that I have with my mother, played by a beautiful actor called Natasha Rastogi, She's so and also the way that part is written, right? She is a single parent. She has me, Kanika Kapoor, out of wedlock, and she stands up for all the remarks that the society constantly throws at her. She lives her life. And that character is so inspirational to me because she is. The beauty about the film is that all these women, it goes from the age of 16 to the age of 32. We all, and it's portrayed by like various different characters from different walks of life that have had their own journey and that have fought patriarchy, sexism in their own way. So this specific remark of yours is very, very well portrayed in the film. So if you watch it, I think you'll genuinely see that representation or the thought that you feel our films don't show enough in it.
So if I wasn't here, I would have probably been there. So very
What's your name?
Vibhuti.
Vibhuti, I'll just say one thing, that you spoke about equality so beautifully, but when you put equality, you cannot put the entire blame on the mother. The father is equally responsible.
Of course.
And I know you didn't mean it that way, but I'm also saying that brings me wonderfully to this conversation that you used this song. And when I watched the movie, after whoever knows what the movie is about, everything, we've had a conversation. Pari Hu Main has a different conversation today. Not because only of Sushant, but because that line, Chuna na mujhse dur hi rehna, Pari Hu Main. We have always conditioned women to protect themselves so that they don't commit a mistake.
Yeah.
It's always a mistake from the woman's end, and we have conditioned them to believe that if you do it, because you will be the nurturer, so you are the one who's gonna make that mistake. And thank you for wonderfully portraying that and using that. And thank you for doing what you guys do, because like I said, that this conversation is personal on a lot of levels. So maybe you guys saw a little bit of angst in me, but that's okay. And I feel that I would always feel for a film like this. There are days when I've felt the worst after something bad has happened to me, and I've gone to a Khoobsurat to watch it, and I've told you specifically so many times, and an Aisha, I am the Aisha for my friends.
Aisha, it is one of my most favorite.
But I'm the anti-Aisha, I'm matching people with wrong people. It's not like Aisha was doing. So my friends don't trust me, but thank you Riya for giving women. Oh, आपका question है, चलिए आपका question लेंगे for sure. What's your name? उनको माइक दो.
जरूरी है जानना, और ना ही हम लोग को स्कूल बताता है. तो ये, और उसके बाद जब हम लोग और बड़े होते हैं, अपने 80s मतलब 1890s में जाते हैं, तो फिर ये हम अपने किसी गर्ल फ्रेंड से भी नहीं पूछ सकते हैं कि ये बताओ तुम्हारे बारे में, और या वगैरह वगैरह. तो इस पॉइंट पे आपका क्या कहना है कि ऐसी जगह पे बॉयज़ को क्या करना चाहिए कि उनको इतना अच्छा पैम्पर नहीं मिल पाता शुरू से ही, और हम लोग को क्या है, क्योंकि हम लोग कभी कंप्लीट नहीं है, किसी गर्ल के साथ ही या फिर अपने पार्टनर के साथ ही हम लोग कंप्लीट हो पाते हैं, तो इसके लिए क्या करना चाहिए?
Thank you for your question. See, I feel, मेरा मानना है कि ये फिल्म बना के मैं ये नहीं कहना चाहती हूँ कि बॉयज़ भी कंफ्यूज नहीं है. मुझे पता है कि बॉयज़ भी इक्वली कंफ्यूज है. Look, the thing is, shame goes both ways. Okay? Just because girls feel ashamed doesn't mean that boys don't feel ashamed. But what this film is trying to say is that, like Nayan said, is that a lot of the responsibility of the shame happens to come on the girl, and the girl is judged more. Lekin I agree with you कि after a certain point of time, boys also don't have anybody to turn to have a conversation, to talk, to speak. And I hope that after watching this film, you realize that, like you said, when you're 18, 19, you can't even talk to a girl about it. I hope that after watching this film, or as we grow, we realize that we can talk to each other. Because we are both going through it. If you ask me, I will answer as long as you ask me with respect. And if I ask you something, as long as I ask with respect, you will also answer. We are all adults, and we are going through the same thing. So I feel there is a lot of pressure on boys as well. Just like there is a lot of pressure on girls. Like I see some boys who have been brought up to take over their father's business and get married at a certain age and provide for everybody, and the plan is you have to be the man of the house, you have to be successful, you know, you have to provide, you have to do this, and maybe he wants to be an artist, maybe he wants to travel, maybe he doesn't want to be with a woman, maybe he wants to be with a man. There's so many things that boys go through as well, and all of this stems from this conditioning that is passed on to boys and girls. You know, girls are taught that aap aise hi raho, or guys are taught that aap aise hi raho. And I feel that the more conversations that we have, the better it is. For example, like you were saying, if there's a problem in a house or if there's a problem in a marriage, most of the time the woman is blamed for it. Okay? Why? Because she has to keep the peace. Like till date, my mom will say, you know, दादी को happy birthday बोला, राखी डिनर है, आप जा रहे हो ना, keep yourself free, do this, do that, family dinner है, ये वो. She's keeping the family together. You see what I mean? This responsibility has never come on the man. The man has to just provide and keep everything going. But what if the man wants that responsibility? And what if the woman wants the other responsibility? The only way we can find this out is if we constantly talk to each other with respect, and that we understand that what I am going through, she must be also going through. He must be also going through. We can't only be kind to ourselves and judge everybody else. You see what I mean? So I feel for boys, it's or reverse. I feel for boys as much as girls, it's very important to not care so much about what other people think, to know in your heart that you are a good person, that you are respectful of this girl or respectful of this boy, and your question comes from a genuine place. And if you don't feel comfortable asking your mom, ask your brother, ask your sister, ask your friends, ask your girlfriends. And if tomorrow you offend someone, if your heart is clean, it's their loss at the end of the day. Because they, as people who love you in your life, should know, you know, that this person is coming from a good place. They're coming because they genuinely want to know. They're genuinely confused. So there is no shame in ever asking anybody a question, as long as you are respectful and your values are intact and your heart is good.
Great. हमेशा ज़माना मर्दों का रहा है, मर्दों का ज़माना रहा है और औरतों ने आफत मचाई है. And that's true for both of you and for Ekta. And finally, देखिए आज आप जो कर रहे हो उसे लोग बगावत कहेंगे, सालों बाद इसी को लोग आज़ादी कहेंगे, and उसी आज़ादी के तरफ बढ़ते हैं. And thank you for coming and thank you for this conversation at the Jagaran Festival.
Yeah.